Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I'm Tanner Knight, and today we're talking all about ride cymbals. And specifically, we're talking about Zildjian ride cymbals. Now, if you're not familiar with the Zildjian brand, then you probably should be. It's probably the most ubiquitous cymbal manufacturer in the United States, at least. Probably worldwide as well, given how many cymbals the Zildjian company has produced over the years. And they have actually one of the longest histories, over 400 years of Zildjian family-owned cymbal business. That's insane, just incredible legacy. And they started in Turkey and really have that legacy to lean on, and then moved operations to the United States in the 20th century. So what I have here is a Zildjian K ride cymbal. All of these rides are 20 inches that we're going to be talking about, so we at least have that in common. But this one is my brand new first K ride cymbal that I've ever had. And I just picked this up on my birthday, really happy to have it. And this one's from 2018. So it's not a vintage K, it's not rare or super desirable beyond the fact that it has the K on there, and you'll come to realize throughout this video that the K is the highest production line cymbal that Zildjian makes, and it's just a really great cymbal. It's pretty ubiquitous on professional kits as well. You'll see a lot of kits just totally decked out with Zildjian K cymbals, very common, and this one just happens to be my very first one. Otherwise, I'm very acquainted with the Zildjian A Customs and the Zildjian A's and some other Zildjian branded cymbals that are more common than the higher end K's. So we're going to compare that against these other two ride cymbals that I have right here. The first being an A Custom Ping ride. This is a 20-inch variety as well. And then the one behind it is a Zildjian I think it's just a medium ride is what this one's called, and it's from the early 80s. It's not a K from what I can tell. It doesn't have any markings outside of the stamp here, which appears to be a stamp and not the laser etching, which we'll see on the ride cymbal, the K ride that is. But yeah, two Zildjian rides ready to compare against this K. But first, let's hear what this thing sounds like on its own. And the K is known for having a very just dry attack where it's a ping that sings and then dies pretty quickly. So it doesn't have a ton of sustain, but it's a really recognizable ride sound is what I would say. So let's hear a couple different areas on the cymbal with this ride. A pretty quick decay. I don't have this nut clamped all the way down, so it's got as much room to breathe as it needs. So not a very pronounced bell. You can make it loud if you want, if you use the shaft of the stick, but overall it's a pretty delicate sound. And the K-Ride can crash. That's one thing that you'll hear a lot of people say, is that you can crash a K-Ride. And it sounds okay. It doesn't really wash everything out. It does kind of what you hope it to do. So it's a very versatile cymbal. It's not the loudest cymbal, so if you're looking for something just loud and raucous, go somewhere else, but it is a very sensitive and musical cymbal, and one that I've really been pining after for a while, so I'm glad to have it. Pretty dead on the edge. Surprising, you would expect that to have a little more ring to it, but it does not. So that's about as long of a decay as it has. It's pretty quick, as I mentioned. Let's swap it out for the A custom. This used to be my favorite ride cymbal until this guy showed up, but let's swap it out real quick. A much longer decay on the A custom ping ride. This is a really nice sounding cymbal, and it's kind of the exact opposite in my opinion of the K, and they're hammered completely different. So that's how they achieve two different sounds with these very similar seeming cymbals, but they're actually not similar at all. A little more sound on the edge. A much more pronounced bell, and just the bow of the cymbal is pretty consistent all the way across. Gets a little washy towards the end. This thing does not crash at all. This is not a crashing ride. It's just a loud heap of mess if you hit this thing too hard. This is more of kind of, I don't even know what I would consider this for, but it's a very sensitive cymbal that gets a little loud if you get too out of control. So it's for a very sensitive player, I would say, and that's maybe not me. I don't know, maybe that's why I like the K better. So this thing has its application. I love the ping ride, but let's move on to the medium ride. This is, again, I think a 1980s cymbal from what I can tell. The Zildjian K cymbal actually comes to America, or is made in America, starting in 1982. It was previously made in their Canadian factory, and this is actually a really interesting part of the Zildjian history, because Zildjian and the other famous cymbal company, Sabian, are both out of that same Zildjian family lineage. And in fact, there was a separate part of the Zildjian family that made their way to, I think, Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, Canada, somewhere way up north, a very bizarre place to have cymbals made. But northern Canada, the Zildjian family starts the Sabian company, and that becomes a second cymbal company, and the early Zildjian Ks are made in that factory, and they come to America in 1982, and the Sabian company kind of gets born out of that and does its own thing, but it is part of the Zildjian family lineage. So this is that 80s medium ride. Still a very usable and fantastic cymbal that I've used quite a bit, but I tend to gravitate towards the other ones. And let's just hear it. Also a cymbal that doesn't necessarily want to crash. Just feels kind of stiff and a little, I don't know, thicker, but it does not want to crash. You really got to get on it in order for it to crash, and that's just too much for me. Let's hear the edge. Kind of cool, rings for a while. The overall sustain, I'd say, is much longer than the K, more in line with the Ping ride, but this isn't a Ping ride. It's kind of in between is what I would say. But this is kind of a comparable tier of cymbal. So there you have it, folks. The Zildjian K 20-inch ride cymbal. That's obviously not everything that it can do, but that's a pretty good run of what you would use a ride cymbal for in everyday application. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what this cymbal sounds like. The microphone array that I'm using to capture this whole kit today is primarily a PV-PVM system, the 321 on the snare, 328s on the toms, with a V kick, an SE V kick on the kick, and an AKG D4 on the hi-hat. So that's the microphone complement, all being fed into my Claret Octo preamp and captured for your enjoyment. So let me know what you think. Do you like one of these cymbals better than the others? If so, why? I'd really like to know. And you know, I don't consider myself an expert in this. I'm just a nerd who loves all of this stuff, so I like reading about it and figuring things out on my own. But I do know that there's a lot of different applications for every single one of these cymbals, and I may not have covered all of that. So if there's anything that I missed according to what you'd like to see, let me know, and I will present it here. So please like and subscribe if you like this type of content, and I hope to see you on the next one.